though, this breaking news story out of San Diego this evening. Police are now saying that 2 suspects are dead and the threat has been neutralized after a shooting at the Islamic Center in San Diego.
There is no further threat. Both suspects in this case are deceased. All of the kids are safe. Our hearts go out to the families that are in this moment being notified of what has happened to their loved ones. We have 3 confirmed adults that are deceased at the Islamic Center.
Let's speak now to US political reporter from the Daily Mail, Victoria Churchill. Victoria, what do we know this evening as we sit here, 7 p.m. DC time, 12 a.m. in London? What's the latest, Victoria?
Well, always great to be back on with you, Bev. And, unfortunately, it has to be in a situation just like this. But the reports that I'm seeing is that these shooters were 17 and 19 years of age. There was a security guard who bravely either neutralized them himself or helped neutralize them. And, of course, we have to think about the fact that this happened in California, which has some of the most restrictive and invasive policies on firearm ownership. And, for those that advocate for gun rights across the country, I think we're seeing time and time again that these radical gun control policies really do not save lives at the end. The only thing that they do is increase restrictions on law-abiding citizens or gun owners, and it has no impact when it comes to preventing acts of mass violence, unfortunately. And it only leaves people defenseless.
Yeah, we understand, I think, Victoria, this evening, and we are going to get an update, we believe, from the law enforcement in the area whilst we're on air in this first hour. But we understand, as you say, that these 2 perpetrators, aged 17 and 19, rather mysteriously found dead in a car a few blocks from the incident, with gunshot wounds believed to be self-inflicted. It certainly at the moment doesn't follow the profile of what we would imagine as a standard, let's say, a school shooting, because there is a school attached to the mosque, and the police are considering it, they say, a hate crime unless they are proved otherwise. What are you drawing from some of these details?
I think that they are absolutely correct to consider this a hate crime. I think any time when you have any incident that is racially or religiously motivated based on people's backgrounds, that is, of course, consideration for a hate crime. Of course, this is still very much a developing situation. But, again, I think it's interesting that law enforcement was, able to confirm the adults, but they kind of, when it comes to teenagers and to youth, they're a little bit more hesitant of that. That is pretty standard when it comes to cases like this. But again, it also just goes to show that, particularly with the 17-year-old, right? Pretty much nowhere in America can you own firearms under the age of 18. California's own governor, Gavin Newsom, has proposed the 28th Amendment, which would raise that age from 18 to 21 nationwide for any kind of firearms. And so, we look at cases like this where these proposed measures would unfortunately not have saved lives. And of course, we can't even forget the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter, the event that I was at just a couple weeks ago, where that man also came from California and obtained his firearms legally. And so, again, California really seems to be the root of a lot of really crazy problems and issues that are impacting America nationwide.
Yeah, when we have these sorts of shootings in the UK, Victoria, be it at a synagogue or a mosque, thoughts, of course, instantly turn to religious rivalries, religious hatred, which may be happening on the other side of the world and ends up on our Western shores. At this stage, we don't know, but would you suspect that this could be related to that the shooters could be Jewish? We know that a suicide note was left, which is being described as having racial overtones, and that there was some scrawling on one of the weapons believed to be racial hatred as well. Hate speech scrawled on the weapon is how the police have described it. We are speculating, but it looks fairly likely that it could be related to something like that.
Again, potentially, I don't want to get ahead of the facts here, but again, what I also want to say is important to note that not in all states are people that attend religious institutions left defenseless, right? Again, we look back at the brave people in the Texas church just a couple of years ago who were able to apprehend a shooter on their own grounds. So when you look at a state like Texas compared to a state like California, one leaves their churchgoers, synagogue goers, mosque goers, whatever religious institution you have, defenseless, versus in the other one, these people are not left defenseless.
Yeah, thank you, Victoria, so much. Thanks for joining us. We will, of course, be keeping an eye on this developing situation. Victoria Churchill there from the Daily Mail.